if you've heard the news, we got a new record coming out. Even though we just put one out 18 years ago, we figured why not just go back to back, put out another one.
That's right, your ears have not deceived you. It's been nearly 2 decades since the Starting Line released their last studio record. Like many acts, they quietly vanished, like an old man trying to return soup at a deli. No, that's not it. Drive-Thru Records ceased operations, and so did many of their bands. Now, 18 years later, and 2 singles that already are an instant throwback, Eternal Youth is set to drop on Friday, September 26, 2025. Let's discuss the new release, the tone of the album, and ask ourselves one simple question. Do people really care about the Starting Line in 2025? Let's go back to 2002. The Starting Line of Drive-Thru Records has released The Best of Me, a pop-punk classic love song on their debut album, Say It Like You Mean It. They hit the main stage quick for then 14-year-old lead singer and bassist Kenny Vasoli, and 5 years later, in 2 additional studio albums, the band had stopped touring, leaving us without saying goodbye. A decade goes by, and the pop-punk of our adolescence had mostly faded. Our legacy bands remained, like Green Day, The Offspring, and New Found Glory, but we lost the bands that kept our scene alive. The B-tier, the C-tier bands that had great records, then disbanded, or didn't get the hype that they deserved. These B-tier bands include Yellowcard, who are seeing a recent resurgence, Bayside, who have never quit and dealt with the death of their drummer when a patch of ice flipped their van in Wyoming on Halloween in 2005, They've consistently put out albums that get better as they age. Very few bands can say that. Something Corporate, Midtown, Sugar Cult, Alistair, and Phoenix TX. All these bands could have moved to the S tier had they continued with their music. Then there are the C tier bands like Lucky Boys Confusion, SR71, Gob or Job, however you pronounce it, American Hi-Fi. Anyone know what they've been up to lately? Look no further than Miley Cyrus. Since 2005, the former frontman is Miley's musical director and drummer, while the band completes the touring ensemble. 15 years pass to 2022, and everything changes. And I have to give props to the We Were Young Festival. Yes, it was a cash grab for elder emos, but for the ones who went, I commend you. That festival single-handedly helped bring back bands we haven't listened to in years, may have forgotten about, or never heard of. I believe artists began to recognize this trend as well. High Winds canceled the first day of the festival, and fans were refunded, but some bands took it upon themselves to play impromptu shows at small bars for free. Could you imagine seeing your favorite band with 400 people for free? One of those bands that were canceled was The Starting Line. They didn't host a show that night, but they were able to perform 2 separate days playing 30-minute sets. Those sets were filled with energy and nostalgia, setting up what I like to call a nostalgic divine. Elder emos were singing, grooving, and dancing, while bassist and lead singer Kenny Vasoli and The Starting Line matched their energy. It felt like 2004 all over again. We wanted more of The Starting Line. It had been way too long. We never got our proper goodbye as we slept the night in silence. And just like the days when your mom took the keys of your car, we were left with only hopes of a new album. Then, in a teaser, they would perform 3 more live shows in California, Maryland, and New York. Then your mom gave your keys back, and you had a message.
Everybody's talking at me. I can't hear a word they're saying. Just driving around in John Voight's car.
No, not John Voight. The Starting Line. They're back, and they're releasing a new album. Eternal Youth is set to premiere on September 26th, 2025. First off, shouts out to the band for never disbanding. Kenny gets all the credit, but Mike, Tom, and Matt deserve just as much. They've released 3 studio albums, the last one coming in 2007. Sure, they've had some EPs along the way, but it's been 18 years since we've had a full-length studio album. Why did they leave? Did anxiety strike? Were they complacent with who they were? Who knows? They left perfectly, on a high note, like a drop bass at the end of the show airing out its feedback. Kenny mentions in an interview on My Mom's Basement with Robbie Fox that he didn't think people were interested in the starting line, as he's not interested in the bands of his era. The records that they themselves were putting out weren't reigniting the flame enough to produce a full album. And that's when he underestimated the elder emos. And I can't assume for sure, but the We Were Young festival had to prove that people truly cared about their work and their music. Then the 3 additional dates had to give them a sense that a return would work, and the people wanted it. It's tough to make a comeback after almost 2 decades. Fans want one thing, the artist has their own ideas. Some come back with motivation and exhilaration, while others unfortunately have a half-assed, sorry attempt that sometimes seems like a possible cash grab. The starting line don't want to fall to the bottom. But are they ready? Kenny was asked by his now current manager, are you okay with making 7-inch records? If you want people to pay attention to your band, I think a full length is the best way to go. It sounds like an Insecurity thing. Insecurity? This is a band that once headlined a show with Hawthorne Heights and Fall Out Boy as openers. And by the time they hit the stage, everyone left. I couldn't imagine what that would do to your morale, and it does bring back the thought, do people really care about the starting line?
No, and I don't care.
I'm gonna tell you.
That conversation struck a nerve with Kenny. Insecurity stayed on his mind as he thought, I'm going to prove to my manager and myself that I'm not insecure about our music. He believes he is at the height of his career. The experience of being in the scene for 27 years, I'm curious to see what direction this new record will take.
Now look in the mirror and tell me what you see.
I see Junior.
You see Junior. Well, you want to know what I see? I see pride. I see power. I see a badass mother who don't take no crap of nobody.
You really see all that?
Yeah, man. But it's not about what I see. It's about what you see. Now look.
The new album, Eternal Youth, was created very similar to their first album, Say It Like You Mean It. There was no second guessing, just trusting their instinct. It's been long enough that they don't need a fan's perspective. And this is true. We want something because we know what they can create will fall nothing short of greatness. They've had 18 years to reset, and along the way have gained influence from bands that have stood tall since their era between 1999 and 2002. That influence helps define the music that they want to make. Kenny also dives back even 10 years before that to the 90s, being influenced by bands like Lifetime and their album Jersey's Best Dancers, which brings aggression and melody to the new album, Face to Face's Big Choice, which Kenny claims is a non-skip album, and a rare album that he gives credit to is Drive Like Jehu, the album Yank Crime, whose drummer Mark Trombino was a friend during the Drive-Thru Records era. He produced Midtown's album, Living Well is the Best Revenge, which is a masterfully mixed album of drums, guitar, and bass. He also credits Shape of Punk to Come by Refused. The music wasn't his favorite, but the lyrics hit him hard. It'll be interesting to see how the band incorporates this into their new album. The tone on the new album is said to be a mix between Blink-182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and Converge's All We Love, We Leave Behind. He credits Jerry Finn's production and has experimented with a clean new string sound as well as a grungy and grimy full scoop tone. If we get something like this, I'll be ecstatic. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is my favorite Blink album. I remember that day. Tuesday, June 12, 2001. I couldn't drive and had to wait for my mom to get home, who had the album in hand after work. Sunset hit, and I had already listened to it 3 times riding my bike around the neighborhood with my yellow, no-skip Casio Walkman. Every now and then I'd pedal too hard, and my wired headphones would be yanked from its input, pulling my ears down and ripping them right off and dropping them to the ground. You guys know that feeling, but it didn't skip. Thank goodness for wireless headphones.
A quick story before we continue. I'm usually not one to talk like this, but my buddy Matt Banks, I went to summer camp with the guy when I was like 12, 13 years old. He's here tonight. Hello, Matt. Hello, your friends. Yeah. Hey, there he is. That's the guy. That's Matt Banks over there. No names knows this high. Playing ultimate frisbee and shit. My best friends at Birch Hill. And so when I joined the band, I was 14 years old. Matt was 20. I was a freshman in high school. He was a freshman in college, sophomore in college, something like that. And the first year that we started playing shows together, when it became summertime, I was like, hey, I gotta go to summer camp. Like, I'm gonna be a counselor in training this year. It's gonna be cool. He's like, bro, do you know how embarrassing that is when I have to tell promoters we can't play because our singer's at summer camp? And I was like, yeah, maybe this is my last year. Had to grow up fast, you know? So shout out to my camper.
On the single Circulate, you can already hear the sound of Drive-Thru Records. A clean bass intro and then into the snare that pops. One thing I've always missed over the past decade is the snare. Where's it been? It sounds so good. Palm mutes and throwback to the pop punk days, the way it should be. Kenny's voice isn't the high pitch it once was, and it fits their style perfectly. Slow burn, billowing, your turn. It's a scream followed by a simple statement, the perfect fit for a chorus. The second single, Sense of Humor, comes at you quick with Kenny describing the comeback. Are fans really going to go for it? What could they want from them? Everything is just absurd. Let's laugh it off, because a grain of salt may not be enough anymore. But don't ever lose your sense of humor. These two songs already hit, and we're ready for what's next. Eternal Youth was produced by Will Yip, who is a friend of the band and helped record their Live at Studio 4 albums. Will has also produced albums by the Bouncing Souls, Citizen, Free Throw, Light Years, which is Pat Kennedy's band, who is now the lead guitarist for No Pressure, The Menzingers, Me Without You, Lauryn Hill, Panic at the Disco, and The Wonder Years. Yip has helped mix and master over 200 records, but Eternal Youth is my most anticipated album of his work. According to Kenny, we will be getting all new music. He doesn't have a backlog of songs just stashed away. Yes, there are some ideas and partially written songs that made the album that have been around for 5 years, but the way Kenny writes, it's mostly what's on his mind at the time. This proves to me that he hasn't changed his style. In 2002, I met him after his Warped Tour show in Cleveland, Ohio. He was 18 at the time, and I asked him how he writes his lyrics, and he mentions that they just come to him while they're practicing. Meeting bands after their Warped Tour sets in the blistering heat on concrete while humidity bakes through your pores? That's a nostalgic divine. The open-minded approach to Eternal Youth has no production tricks, just straight punk music. They've always had a love for punk, as it's a simple formula. However, their music has some complexity to it. For one, singing and playing bass is not an easy thing to do. It can be a nightmare to sing and play, a thankless job that requires rehearsing over and over and over again. Punk rock, however, is a forgiving genre, and Kenny feels that. He doesn't know how the legends like Geddy Lee of Rush did it, and also takes influence from Mike Dirnt of Green Day, which, who wouldn't? And Primus bassist Les Claypool, he has a kooky style, but that's a guilty pleasure of Kenny Vasoli. The Starting Line is out to prove that their 18-year hiatus of a full studio album will be worth every second to listen to. Their shout-out from Taylor Swift was unexpected, just like the album itself. I never anticipated another album from The Starting Line, but now that they are on the horizon, it's going to bring out the best in all of us. The band's live sets prove that they are grateful for their fans and are having fun doing it.
On a serious note, y'all make us feel like the coolest fucking band in the world. Thank you so much for this. What a wonderful, warm reception. We appreciate this so much.
I'm asking you again, do people really care about The Starting Line? Yes, we do. From an elder emo pop punk perspective, this album will be the 2025 album of the year in the scene. If not, it'll be the best comeback album we've heard in a long time. Many of us were excited upon Blink-182's reunion, and for me, this album will go side by side, just like the influence the band received from Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more music docs, nostalgic references, anything 90s, 2000s, and today pop culture. Peace!